Hey everyone, we have Peter Tuchman here to talk about some Wall Street gossip. Peter, thank you for joining me in your lovely cabin, it looks like.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let me pick your cabin up here. Peter, I saw a very emotional, I would say, angry tweet about insider trading with authorities. Can you touch on that and what you meant by that?
That I said, well, so basically the story came out about the vaccine advisor to the White House, who, as I read the story a little bit more, it turns out that he had been he had worked at, where did he work first? I think at Bristol or another firm, Burroughs Wellcome perhaps. And then he went over to work at Moderna, which he was the CEO, I believe, of Moderna, or one of the higher ups there. And he had options for 155,000 shares of stock. And he was recently hired by Trump to run this operation, whatever, to sort of fast track vaccines for the virus. And there was obviously a conflict of interest, and he knew it, that he owns these shares in this company that got $488 million from the government to fast track a vaccine. So it was obviously his duty then to sell the shares of stock and dilute his account. It just so happened that they sort of pumped the story the day before that that he was going to sell the stock, that they were actually fast tracking it, and that they looked like there was some positive news on the vaccine. The stock went from $66 to $80, just so happened to coincide with the time he sold his stock. And then the real news came out that the first studies that were done on the vaccine were not positive ones, and the stock fell 10 to 20%. So the timing looks unfortunate. I'm not sure whether the news that came out subsequently was that he's going to donate all profits that he made in that 20% spike of $2.4 million to charity, and to a cancer charity. So maybe he got caught with his pants down. Who knows? But it sounded a little fugazi, especially after Senator Burr, had liquidated his stock after hearing private meetings about what was happening with the virus in the initial stages of the outbreak, and a number of other things which I'd rather not mention on this show, about other people who had sold stock, with what felt like was insider knowledge.
Understandably so. It's never good to get caught with your pants down, no matter what situation you're in. Hopefully he does
Sure.
donate that if that is true. Peter, one last question, because I know we both have to go. We saw something very similar with Gilead with their results. We saw options, some major options activity right when they announced that the drug wasn't in the phase that they wanted it to be, or it was like a BS phase.
Right.
Where do you see this mostly happening in the medical field?
It's hard to know. Look, there's so many opportunities for stuff to leak out. There are obviously a lot of companies that track unusual option activity. We see it with the Fed minutes sometimes. We saw it with Martha Stewart and Enron, right? I mean, you've seen it historically that, it's kind of funny that, greed is a funny thing, and people get an opportunity to get inside information. That's been going on since the beginning of time, right? Mm-hmm. And it never particularly ends well. I'm sure that we notice probably maybe 5 to 10% of the real insider trading that goes on. It's an unfortunate thing. But, I think when people in government do it, especially, look, with Senator Burr or with some of the earlier tracking of this, that we should have been notified about what happened in the virus January, February, March. And the fact that they had private meetings and sold stock across the board and liquidated accounts with prior knowledge that we were about to get hit, by a major virus in the U.S., that's kind of fugazi in my opinion.
It is. You know what they should have just done? They should have just waited, took a little hit, and then sold off with the rest of the market. They didn't have to jump in on that.
100%. And they ended up never telling
Hello.
I know. And never, it's not a good thing to get caught with. And at the end of the day, it was information that we all needed to know, whether you own stock or not, that we were about to get hit by this virus. Today, a lot of news is coming out about the fact that prior knowledge, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 6 weeks could have saved 30,000 plus lives, right? If we had been notified and whether they jumped on the news early.
Ever so poignant. Peter Tuchman, thanks for jumping on the call with me. We'll get this out to Twitter, and they'll really appreciate it, I'm sure. We hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Fozzie. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.